Hello and welcome to an episode of What We're Watching. I'm Ed.
I'm Catherine.
And John.
And, there's no Liz. Okay, well,
Here we go.
Off we go. All right, anybody want to start on any of the cool things that they've watched since the last time we talked about what we were watching? I don't want to start, but I could.
Wow, that was a good sell.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but I could.
Well, no one else is.
Okay, well, I had
yes, I got
All
somebody.
right, well, look. I don't want to get in trouble because I have a bunch of shows that I wrapped up. So,
Go for it.
okay. First off, I want to talk about Hacks because I finished season 2 of Hacks.
Nice.
Love Hacks. I was so excited that it won a bunch of Emmys last time around, and I'm hoping that it does well this time around. And Jean Smart, she is just a national treasure. She's amazing. Her character is horrendous and awful and great. And this second season is a nice arc of horribleness, but then also a little bit of her heart show, just a glimmer of her heart. So that's nice. Created by, I'm going to get these names so wrong. Paul W. Downs, who plays the agent in it, Hannah Einbinder, her character's agent, and also Jean Smart's agent, is one of the creators, and he is fantastic. I love him so much.
Have you told us why there are agents in this show that's called Hacks? I don't know the plot of this. And we're in season 2, so I've missed an entire season 1 of plotting.
Okay, so why don't I give a little thumbnail of what Hacks is? Hacks is about an aging female comedian.
Not FBI agents. Got it. Okay.
Who is a legendary Las Vegas performer, has had a residency in Las Vegas since like the dawn of time. And in season 1, that's basically wrapping up and she is kind of reinventing herself a little bit. There's a couple of female comedians that feel like might have been the inspiration. I want to say Joan Rivers would be one that comes to mind. At this point in the main character, Jean Smart's career, she's wrapping up this Vegas residency, not by her own decision, kind of. And she's bringing in a writer to help her freshen things up, give a new perspective. This is the Hannah Einbinder character.
Gotcha.
Whose name is Ava, and she is a very young, kind of disgruntled, not doing very well in her career. This was not really what she wanted to be doing, moving to Las Vegas and helping this kind of mean female comedian, mean to her, and also the material is kind of mean. But that's what she's doing. So that's season 1. And season 2 picks up, they're going on the road to try out new material.
All right.
And there's a lot of relationship issues between the two of them that is not good and very fun. And then there's additional staff that is quite fun. So the reason there's an agent, and it's both these characters' agents, is this co-creator of the show, Paul Downs. His character's name is Jimmy. So Jimmy represents Deborah Vance. That's the comedian's name.
Apparently her manager.
Oh, manager. I've been saying agent, so manager. Okay. So he works for an agency or whatever, and he's her manager, and is also the manager for this writer, Ava, and sort of puts them together after Ava in season 1 has no job prospects. So this is what she ends up having to do.
A little packaging.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, in season 2, they are on the road, and it is very ridiculous and fun and uncomfortable. They're like in a, what do you call those, an RV, or a bus, like a tour bus?
Like a coach bus?
Yeah, a big...
A vehicle, car, automobile.
Thank you.
Trains.
That's so helpful.
Planes.
This is great. It's great. So that ends up being really hilarious that they're on the road and it doesn't go great. and we get a little bit of Laurie Metcalf for a couple episodes as the tour manager who's like on the bus with them, which is just ridiculous and very fun.
Nice.
It's really a great show. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of uncomfortable, mean humor, but there's a little bit of softening that happens that's kind of fun to watch. I don't know. I really, really like it, and I love Jean Smart, and I love this idea of a female comedian over the course of her career and the things that she's had to do and the opportunities that she had and then lost and then, things that she's gone through. And it's really interesting. It's very fun and funny. So that's Hacks.
So you did realize the three creators had worked together on, were part of, writers and et cetera on Broad City.
I had read that, but I had forgotten. So it's Lucia.
Anilo, yeah, Paul W. Downs, and then Jen Statsky.
Right.
Maybe.
So the three of them are credited as creators. I mean, he's acting in it, and I think they also direct. So they're doing a combination of things. Yeah, they're great. I'm really excited for them. They seem young and cool and smart. And I think two of them are married. I think Paul and Lucia are married. So I guess I saw them together doing some press or something and kind of figured it out. I like that. I think that's really cool too, that they as a couple are writing together. And now that this show is doing so well, it's such a fun thing for them.
I wonder if she directed the episodes that he acted in.
Well, I would have to look at the IMDb, like the breakdown of who directed what, but he's kind of a bigger part this second season, which is fun. He's got this horrific assistant in his office that is very fun that he's dealing with, and that's kind of a nightmare. And oh God, there's this lady in the HR department who's very fun. Anyway, there's a lot of very fun elements in Hacks. So finished Hacks. It's 19 episodes total. So I think.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, what?
Did you somehow? It's 18. 10 and then 8.
10 and then 8?
Yeah. Well, IMDb might be making it confusing.
I do know why, Catherine, you thought it was 19 for yours, because frickin' IMDb listed season 3 with 1 episode.
What?
So they
Don't
are
do
really
that.
not helping us in that category.
They're not. Yeah. It's too easy for me to get confused trying to look at words.
And numbers.
Well, and numbers. I mean, like, I'm looking at a screen and, like, darting around, being like, episodes. How many? What? Short episodes, they're like half hours and not a ton of them, but fun.
And you also, it's from multiple EPs, but perhaps mainly Michael Schur of Office and Parks and Rec and Good Place.
Yeah. I mean, it's always hard to determine who is involved to what degree, but he's named on there, so.
Oh, God, and the endless crossover. Kirby Howell-Baptist, who was in Good Place. She's the Australian girlfriend. She's also in Barry, also in Killing Eve. I mean, she's tying it all together for us. Yeah, she, a 2-person British TV producer team who interview Ava.
Oh, my God. Now I do remember who she is. Yes, and that storyline is kind of fun and terrible. Yeah. She's in both seasons. Now that you have jogged my memory.
Oh, God. W. Earl Brown, our man from Deadwood, your favorite show.
I do love Deadwood. No,
You
I
love
don't.
that Eric and I watched Deadwood without you.
Yeah, that was fun to just you guys watch that. Caitlin Olsen from Always Sunny in Philadelphia is in it. She's great. She plays Jean Smart's character's daughter, and that's a very entertaining storyline.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Hacks, loved it, very good. The other thing I watched and finished was Stranger Things, the season 3, 4, what are they on?
Season 4. Do you finish all of it already?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you watch all things, so you watch the
I
whole
watched all the
Okay.
things.
All
I
right.
watched all of the things. It is, I don't know if it's me, it seemed significantly more gruesome and yucky this season. Like the grossness factor was very high.
You have to escalate. You cannot stay where you were.
No,
Everyone ages, and to keep our interest, it has to escalate. Does it?
Yeah.
Is it grosser, or is it more time in the grossness that they just they hung out with the kids a lot in the first season, and then you barely got to see the what is it, Down Under? Sorry, that's Australia. Upside Down.
The Upside Down. The Down Under. That was pretty funny. Yeah, and I mean, like,
as far
and the
as I know,
monsters
there's
were
a
gross.
lot of things in the Down Under that would kill you, but
No,
not the
this
same
is
thing.
definitely an escalation of monster grossness and really goriness.
I don't have any research done on this, but there has to already be a theory that the first season, all these kids are having a terrible thing happen inside their bodies. They're getting puberty.
Oh, don't. Okay,
So
look.
just wondering
I'm not-
if it gets real gross by season 4. Is it just because they're like 16?
Well, it's not that kind of gross.
No, right.
But it is that kind of uncomfortable teen scene. Like, it's...
It was a metaphor, so you're just enforcing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. I could have
Metaphorically.
used none of it, and it was all over this in a not great way. I didn't.
It's real, Catherine.
It was fine. It's just, I
right.
know that they felt like they had to do it because they were growing up, but
Well, it's also even Stranger Things got stranger and stranger. Now, the real question is, how are they doing with the extra precise time period stuff that they're usually at? Like, wasn't season 3 in a mall the entire time, which was
Yeah.
like amazing 80s vibes?
yeah, it was genius.
How did they do this season? Did they keep it in the mall again?
They did not keep it in the mall.
Oh, they
There is a roller rink scene, which is not, it's okay. They're on some kind of break from school.
Okay, well, sure. If you're on a break.
The groups have kind of split up because at the end of season 3, a whole bunch of them moved to California. So some of them are still in Hawkins and some of them are still in California. So there's a whole weird, how are we going to go get them back together? And then they're split off and, oh God, I was just remembering seeing some of the grossness. It was really, this was more of a horror thing than I feel like the initial ones were more like nostalgia and kind of the horror was sort of like a secondary thing. This is like straight horror, a lot of it.
If you think about the first season, because I think I watched the first season twice, so I have it a lot more graspable than the second or the third season. But there were notes / overt homages to entire movies that were happening in those time periods. Like Close Encounters of the Third Kind is basically the entire energy of Winona Ryder's character, right?
Yeah.
Like, she is seeing things, the house is lighting up, stuff's going on, the kid's missing. That's straight out the plot of that movie. So there's so many things from the 80s that were getting the right, 80s vibe from it. The other things were happening in the 80s. So it feels like they just said, okay, so now we're doing the all horror reference season.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Yeah, it's the other thing that's interesting is, so I said I finished it. I finished what is currently out. So what they did is they did a drop of 7 episodes and then a break until the beginning of July, and then the last 2 episodes will come out in July. So this is like a breather moment. So that's where we're at with Stranger Things. I know that the Kate Bush song that basically has made a resurgence because of Stranger Things. It's great. I mean, you're listening to it and you're like, yeah, this is a great song. And very good performance by Sadie Sink, and that is sort of where the song is part of the story. And it was good. I mean, it's hard because the kids are growing up, and that first season was such a nostalgia perfect spot, and this is not that anymore. Still very enjoyable, and then you'll have to wait a little bit for 8 and 9. I was happy to get a break. So I did like the story, but it was a lot of gross. A lot of real gross. And last, Barry. We just had the finale of Barry's season 3. Eric and I and John all watched together. Amazing. Love Barry. And I think we just also heard that it got picked up for season 4, and Bill Hader's going to direct all the episodes. He's directed a bunch of the episodes. And, he does a great job. Whenever I see his name, I'm always like, yeah, that was good. You did a real, real good job. So for anybody who's not already watching Barry, get on it. 3 seasons. It was created by Alex Berg, who was Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Silicon Valley was... This is funny. I think, John, you were the one who said it kind of reminds me of Silicon Valley, where it's like things are going good and then bad, going good and then falls apart.
Well, yeah, I realized the correlation of or it's slightly different. Silicon Valley, it's like it constantly falls apart, but they keep getting chances and it keeps on going. Whereas Barry, things are getting caught, but then Barry never gets caught and it keeps going.
Yeah. So somebody also was just mentioning to me, this would definitely be considered like a dark comedy. The first season was more comedic in nature. It's like, oh, it's a hitman who wants to be an actor. Ha, ha, ha. And there's funny stuff in the acting class. Henry Winkler, obviously, as Gene Cousineau, is amazingly hysterical and great. Some of the other people in the class. First, the character Sally Reed, played by Sarah Goldberg, amazing and much more comedic in the beginning. But things at this point now, season 3, have gotten kind of darker and not so light, or I don't know, like farcical, but still.
No, it's true, yeah.
Yeah, more, but still quirky and odd, and the pacing is odd, and that's what makes it a comedy as opposed to just a dark, drama or whatever. And we still get NoHo Hank, who is hilarious, played by Anthony Carrigan, who just, I'm so happy that this happened, that he is doing this part and that we get him in this.
It's he's a gem. He's a revelation.
He's great.
A delight.
He's a delight. And then, the worst, Fuchs, which is basically Barry's sort of manager of his hitman career, played by Stephen Root, who is just terrible and fantastic. And by this point in season 3 has really gone down a dark route in terms of what he's dealing with in his life. It was never good, but
he almost, a couple times it wasn't dark, and then it went dark.
And then it
again.
went super dark. So season 3 pretty much just wrapped up.
He's the Raven.
I was just going to say that whole Raven thing is quite hilarious. Somehow the police have figured out, or think they have figured out, that Stephen Root is this character, the Raven.
Well, NoHo Hank set that up.
Oh,
as a
I had
misdirect.
forgotten that. Yes. It is the Raven. It is.
Oh, it is the Raven.
Oh, the Raven.
I told him it was the Raven. Great name, right?
Oh my God, I forgot completely. You do a really good NoHo Hank.
Sometimes.
It was great. Okay, so
we also got beignets by Mitch.
I had kind of forgotten about the beignet. Like, what
It's one
was that?
It's all in one episode. It's unbelievable.
Is that why?
Yes, it's insane.
Yeah, it's very funny. And then I think within maybe the next couple of days, Eric somehow went and got beignets from someplace called.
He does love beignets.
Well, there's a place called the Beignet Box, and I guess it used to just be a truck that I was vaguely aware of the truck. Maybe it was like a little shop
no, I think
before
it was
that.
trucks first, I think.
And I was like, well, did it feel like Beignets by Ben? Is that what it was called?
Mitch.
Why is it not Ben? Beignets by Ben. That would have been amazing.
Because it's Mitch. Look, man, I know we just met.
Look, man. Okay. Yeah.
As your resident beignet therapist.
That was really a fun thing. Yeah. So within days, Eric got beignets. And I was like, did it seem like? And he's like, oh, yeah. Oh, it has to be inspired by this place because it felt so much like it. I was like, okay. The other shout out within season 3 is Darcy Carden, her character. If I wasn't looking at it, Natalie, I wouldn't know that that's what her character. She was one of the actors in the class. She gets kind of a bigger storyline in season 3, which is fun. Okay, so it leaves off in a not great place, but we definitely have a season 4 coming. So Loving Barry, season 3. And now who's next?
I could pick up
Go for
from there. What things did I watch? Actually, you know what?
Grosser things.
Check that. I watched Grosser Things. No, Stranger Things. No, I watched Robot Things.
Robot Things.
And slightly gross. And I'm remiss that our other co-host Liz isn't here to chime in on Love, Death, and Robots.
Ooh, I saw that was.
You saw that it was out again?
Yeah, I saw that it was out, or the new season. Is it three?
A third season has
a third installment.
Yes, and it's like all the same variety of different styles of animation and storylines that aren't connected and universes that aren't connected. And I had been savor watching or waiting to savor watch. I'd been holding off on season 2. And then when season 3 was out, I was like, well, 7-minute episodes. I got 2 hours worth of stuff to watch now. I got my night set. It's not going to be like one afternoon. So I actually binged watch 201 through 309.
Oh, wow. All right.
And there was a lot of robots, and it didn't go well for humans in most of those. And
that sounds
in general,
right. Mm-hmm.
The uglier the humans looked, the worse we were. Like it was almost like the Big Bug movie that I had reviewed. There was one of them where it was like, what's happening? Everything's like, Roombas and everything's being taken care of. Actually, this one in particular was a Roomba that decides to murder its owner.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God, their faces. Their faces were horrendous in that one. And then there's plenty of other ones where like, what, did you just take that straight out of a video game? That's fine. I can't tell if that's a human or not. Are these actors? I can't tell. stupid Unreal Engine is way too realistic. I can't tell humans from CGI anymore.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I remember now that somehow I watched season 2 first. Like, I watched season 2 and
They are listed in a wackadoo order on Netflix.
I don't know how that happened.
I watched the last episode of season 2 first as I was trying to watch season 2. I'm like, what?
What?
Well, I know that's the end because that's the best episode. All right, let's go figure it out. Then I went back and watched.
Okay, so highlights. How many episodes are there in this season 3?
In season 3, there are 9 episodes.
9. Okay, great. And they're shorties. They're always
they're all short animated shorts. And season 3, you know, they didn't
some good highlights.
They didn't like let you off the hook at all. They had like the Wall-E gone wrong.
Okay.
Like robots have obviously won. The planet does not have humans on it anymore. And there's some explorers going around and checking out what was left. And ooh, they used to be here. So that was a pretty fun one. But then I think there was like 2 that were real standouts to me. The season finale of season 3.
Do they have little names or what are they?
Oh, they got the weirdest little names.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
like all animated shorts have like weird little names because whoever's working on that isn't making a series out of it usually. Isn't not usually based on IP that anybody knows. So it's like, I just made that name up. What?
Sure.
What was that name? So the season finale, the last episode, Jabaro, it is gorgeous. It is like the kind of video game playing that you hear people talk about. They're like, oh, that's why people play video games. It's not just like, oh, the realistic guns and shooting and exploding. No, the scenery.
There's
like
art.
Yeah, so like all the way back in the day, there was a game called Myst, and that was like all there was to Myst. It was a big puzzle game, and there were no characters because that's too hard to animate. So it was just Myst, and you walked around and figured stuff out. But it was a gorgeous environment. So this last episode, although all of the stories are not like fun romps. This one was in particular like you're so satisfied by the comeuppance that is happening.
Comeuppance.
And that's not the word you would use for the way this animation looks because it is like very stylized on top of that realistic look. So you're like kind of buying into these characters and then, okay, there's some fantastical elements. Okay, yeah, The payoff and then the payoff again and then the payoff again. Oh, so good. I mean, I couldn't have lasted an hour with that animation, but for sure, it's the kind of thing an animated short can do is they can hit a point really hard, like 4 times in a row, and you just that's it. It's over. So in particular, that one, I enjoyed how the story played out every time it like took a turn. And not all of them were like that interesting. Some of them had more like, oh, what was that one? Yeah, that was hard to watch. The one with rats.
One with rats.
Then there's like hand-drawn animated ones, and I think there was one with the Very Pulse of Machines was the name of it. That was like the 3rd episode in. Of course, I watched it way out of order, and that one also had a visual style because it was hand-drawn animation, so it pushed itself away from all of the CGI and like Unreal Engine video game stuff that I probably barely even noticed that Mackenzie Davis was the voice of that was barely even a reason why I enjoyed that one. But there were really recognizable, really great acting voices in these. And
cool.
Weirdly, it looks like some of them they even had like I'm not going to say that they had the actual actor doing the voice, but the actors have done CG things. So you had like a kind of a Will Smith doing a character. And you're like, oh, that kind of sounds like Will Smith. And then there were a couple that were like, well, that looks exactly like that actor. And it sounds like that actor. And betting that is like Joe Manganiello. They just borrowed him from whatever game he exists in. And then he's like, yeah, I could do those lines for money. No problem. 10 minutes short, I'm in. So there's a bunch of great things that you weren't expecting to catch. And then you're like, oh, that looks exactly like that actor. That sounds exactly like Jai Courtney. And it is. Because why wouldn't you get him for 10 minutes of an animated short? So yeah, in general, the whole series, if I didn't talk about it on this podcast, or if I did talk about season 1, it's all great. And animated shorts they're my jam. I like those. So
we definitely talked about Love, Death, and Robots before because I remember Liz saying they started watching it with Ethan and it was like, oh no, can't, yeah. I think it was at the point where I had watched season 2, and then Liz was like, "Oh no, I watched it too." So it was one of those.
And I think I had only watched season 1 because I was waiting because I knew how good season 1 was. I'm like, well, I won't be able to stop myself from watching the entire thing straight through, which is exactly what I did when season 3 came out.
You did it
I watched doubled up.
Yeah.
I doubled up. But that's what you're going to do with a good binge, you know. You're going to get your dinner set out and then, it's 1 o'clock. Got to go to bed now. Watch them all.
All right. Well, I am looking forward to it. It has been on my radar because this is a Netflix thing. So it pops up every once in a while, like on my little dash or whatever. Like, oh, yeah, it's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it. Other things have been taken first chair, the front seat. I don't know, something. The front of the line.
The play button.
Yeah. They've been, I was going to say taking precedence, but that's not really what it is.
Are you British? You could say front of queue.
Oh, front of Q. I do like Q.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that's fun.
Yeah. So there's my 18 things that I talked about.
Okay, because the 18 episodes, perfect.
Oh, wow.
Ed, going back for a second, so Fincher directed 1, and then I think Tim Miller directed 2. Did either of those stand out? Were you paying attention when those came about?
No, partly because, and I was going to almost mention this, but I was going to let it go because Catherine had kind of like figured out a way out of letting me talk about it, but you brought it back up, so now I can talk about
Miller did 3, by the way, sorry.
I'm old, and I don't know how to set up my Apple TVs and devices to not automatically play the next thing at whatever the percentage/minutes are. Every single episode for the entire 3 seasons cuts off before the credits play.
Oh, annoying.
It's like, and then there's a 1.5 credits, but it's 8 minutes short. So Netflix is like, oh my God, play next right now. So I occasionally remember, I'm like, no, I want to listen to whatever the song is, and like, I want to breathe from that one. I need a minute.
I need a moment.
There's only going to be a minute. So I don't think I caught all the credits because it's at the end, so I think I wouldn't have registered that. Which is just to say that if you told me which ones they were, I'd say that one was great.
Sure they were. Well, yeah, I mean, you didn't say that any of them were bad, so then they were good because they were all good.
He
did say the rats was a little hard, though.
Wow, that's
just because
thematically.
It's rats. I mean, unless it's
rats.
Yeah.
Whatever Mrs. Not liking horror, as appropriately, because no one should.
Mrs.
I know,
Frisbee.
Which, because of
The
rats,
Secret of Nim.
I think. But aren't they mice? I don't know. They're not rats, are they?
They're mice, but the reason why they are smart anything and the whole reason why they live in that tree is because the Secret of Nim, the National Institute of Mental Health, was testing mice and rats. So there are rats, but they're the bad guys.
Oh.
But the mice are the good guys. They have Jeremy, the seagull.
Oh my! Did we just go on a secret of Nim side tangent?
Who did the voice for that? It was like Dom DeLuise, because I freaking love Dom DeLuise as the animated bird in that movie. And if I have that on deck, because I think I do, and if I don't, audience, you're gonna have to make comments and get us on social. John's got me.
Yes, apparently he was Jeremy
the seagull.
Nice. All right, cool. John, you want to go?
Me? Why would I go?
Because your turn.
Do you want me to talk about a show?
Yeah.
But I just want to talk about your shows. Fine. All right, get ready for it. Old action movie.
Here we go.
It's only 4 years old. We're talking about 2018, Den of Thieves.
What? Oh my goodness.
The
Okay.
Den of Thieves.
It's the perfect movie, Catherine, so why wouldn't I talk about it?
I mean,
Be real.
All right. Okay, go.
No, unfortunately, it's not perfect, but it is really good.
Wait, I am always so interested. How did you end up watching Den of Thieves? No, sorry.
I'm already going to out him.
Okay, go.
John.
Yeah.
I love this.
Go ahead.
Keep giving us more Gerard Butler movies. Go for it.
It's not exactly on purpose. It's weird. There's multiple angles because it was like, there was the Has Fallen series. But then that was also I don't even think I got to, I don't know. I think I saved this for personal, not for podcast. The Rick Roman Waugh, I talked about him in relation to that, but then I also watched all his other movies, which are mostly prison related and are so good, so intense and sad. And I had many realizations and, had to really go through that all again. Unfortunately, I found out that I still haven't seen, I don't know if it was 2021, Rick did National Champions, which is like a football movie, and I haven't done that yet, which is very tough. Also because it's not free. But I'm going to get to it.
Very tough because you haven't gotten to it yet?
Yeah, it's tough for me emotionally
you want
and personally in my life with what I'm doing. But, so yes, continually crossing over with Gerard Butler. So those two things were interrelated, and then just his other movies apparently wasn't on purpose, Den of Thieves. But it is another solid Gerard Butler movie.
I mean, I love Gerard Butler, so I'm just interested in how these things come up.
Look,
I mean, look, obviously, if it was just playing on Showtime or HBO and you were sitting on your couch flipping channels like it was the 90s and just happened
you were
upon it,
looking
then...
for Russell Crowe, but then you found Gerard Butler, so you're like, that's basically good enough.
in my opinion, should I say it's better? I mean...
Whoa! First of all, she's lying. Second of all, for herself.
Just for me. I'm just saying for me.
For herself, she's lying.
Yeah.
What?
But...
Yeah. You can see it on her face.
Look, it's weird. You're like, what are you going to watch at night? And first, let me waste 5 minutes figuring it out, and it's...
5 minutes? God, I'm lucky if it's only 5 minutes of wasted time.
Yeah, so it's, I frequently
5 minutes picking the app.
I mean, Jesus. Or like try to, even now it's more like, I think I might want to watch something and now I cannot figure out what app it's on. I have to I'm like, wait, was it HBO Max? Was it Apple TV Plus? Was it Amazon Prime? What am I doing? Now it's midnight. I have to go to bed. Forget it.
Yeah. That's why you just keep watching the last thing that you were watching. Where was I at? Netflix. Fantastic. What was I watching? That. I guess that's what I'm watching tonight.
Yeah, so for me, it's frequently, I'm so bad about TV recently, but it's like, okay, old movie or new movie? And it's like, oh, it's very tough. Or movie I haven't thought of recently, so is coming to me fresh, and that's exciting, even if it's old.
So an old movie is not necessarily a rewatch. It's just old.
No, I meant rewatch versus new watch.
Oh, okay.
That's a big choice for me, because it's like, well, am I investing in this new movie that I have to really open myself up to and find out what's going to happen? Or do I sort of know what I'm getting into, but I've also condensed that down into the 5-minute version, so there's more than I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Wow. Interesting.
I haven't really, one of the short components of that is me and my frequent looking for a semi-consistent thematic tone. It's like, I really love, it's just tense all the way through. It doesn't go up and down. It's not like, now we're just laughing and joking, and then we get serious again. It's like, I love a lot of movies that are like, just basically kind of consistent. Because it's like, well, that's what I want right now. And I want that for all of right now.
I want to be tense for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that's, if your goal in a movie is to commit a crime, if you're a bunch of criminals... and you're not on the cop side of stuff, there's going to be tension like the entire time. It's getting to the thing. Did the thing go off? Is there a double cross? Who's getting murdered? Did we make it out alive? I don't know.
Yikes.
So that's I could write.
Yeah, so frequently that's part of what I'm choosing and how I'm feeling.
A tone thing.
Yes. And so whatever. So, I frequently am choosing to rewatch because I like it. Because that's me. So Den of Thieves is...
this is a Den of Thieves time.
Yeah, Den of Thieves that's one of those, it's kind of new, but, you're having trouble not rewatching it every 2 months, so
every 2 months?
Well, no, I definitely don't, but you're like, you could, and you're like, no, it's too soon. So you're like, all right, I gotta, do the mental bookmark, which then you forget it for 6 months, but don't think about it for 6 months, but don't think about that. You're not thinking about it for 6 months.
Just
that's perfect.
Put this back in the book, put the book on the bookshelf, and then leave the room for 6 months.
Yeah. So I felt like it had been an appropriate amount of time. So it was time to do it again.
Okay.
And look, I think when you first see it, you're sort of thrown because you're like, all right, Ocean's 11, thieves are cool, it's fine, no big deal. And then you're like, oh, these thieves are serious, but I like them. And then you're like, oh, wait, these cops are serious, but I like them too. And then in the end, you're like, wow, that was not a good resolution for the people that I thought I liked. And then there's now a third group of people. There's another group of thieves that I didn't know about, and they're the good guys. Because and this is... I'm not saying that I'm saying something about the plot, but because they ruined it for the other two groups, I didn't want anybody to ruin it for them. That wasn't cool.
Man, that's the worst when you got the criminals that you're on the side of, and they're like, you're going to get it. I know you're going to execute this crime. And then the cops are like, no, we know about this crime. We're totally going to get him. Gone in 60 seconds. We know exactly all the cars. Oh, they don't know all the cars. We know the cars. They know the cars. And then shit goes wrong. And other stuff has to happen. You're like, wait, what's happening? There's a whole other plot happening in this movie. Okay.
Yeah. So in this one, it's also not only are you dealing with crime, and it's funny, they open up with this thing that's like, they break it down before they say it's Los Angeles, but it's like the bank robberies happen every 8 minutes.
8 minutes? What?
Which is like, it's impossible to believe. It must have been true at one point. Maybe it's still true. Maybe it's 9 minutes now. Maybe it's 7 minutes. It's also average. So it's not that obviously every
And
8
they're
minutes.
considering corporate thieves now, so.
I don't know. They're saying bank robberies, but it's like Los Angeles, and you're like, this is crazy. So it's about actual thieving, which is bad, and then it ends up being these group of cops. They're corrupt to get the bad guys. It's not that they're not stealing money that we know of, but they're which is now a big story recently is cop gangs. So it's like a group of cops that have banded together to be, whether a little shadier together kind of a deal.
Oh, interesting.
So anyway, there's lots of bad things that are happening, but, then there's I'm sorry to say, it is a crazy dude heavy movie. You get one wife that you see like twice. You get one girlfriend who plays a good like part, but she has very few lines. She's also a producer on it. And then you have another wife who has the wife of Gerard Butler has a great emotional scene with her. That's, part of his story arc, which is really good. But it's like versus like 10 dudes that are on screen for 98% of it. So it's definitely rough gender-wise there. But
if you had to guess, how many times have you seen it?
I mean, I could look, which, because remember, we got the tracker in 2018, so theoretically, it's
got all the records.
It's not like, well, before 2018, I don't know. So theoretically, maybe I know. But we're not going to look up. I've probably only seen it like 5 times, not a million.
What?
what I had.
I mean, what?
That was my
wow,
guess.
that is amazing. It's a very different type of watching that you do.
Because
from
I'm
me,
right
I
and
mean,
you're wrong? Yeah, that's
Five
right.
times is
you
once
know.
a year since it came out. 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. He's fine.
Sure.
Because that's what Catherine does. She rewatches movies many times.
No.
So look,
But I will say this. John is validated in his rewatching of this because Den of Thieves 2 has been announced.
yeah, they announced it, I don't know, some point. It was a successful movie, so they announced somewhat after. It's the guy who directed it also wrote it, Christian Gudegast. He wrote one of your favorite Vin Diesel movies. It's actually not your favorite because that's a different... Well, no, I don't know if you even like that one, but A Man Apart, which is somewhat successful.
I
Vin
don't
Diesel
even
movie.
know what it is.
2003.
Oh,
But then he also...
that didn't help.
I did not plan this, and then it's happening. So he also wrote that second Has Fallen movie, London Has Fallen.
Oh, no.
I didn't mean to do this, people. But so then, yes, he's, they're going to make another one. He's going to write and direct. So I'm kind of, those are 3, his only 3 real credits. There's some like rewriting and other
What
stuff.
kind of timeline for the second one?
I don't. This
saying?
is Hollywood. There's no timeline.
Oh, okay.
It's already 2022, so we're just hoping and praying it happens
Whenever.
before Gerard is 70.
I do love Gerard Butler.
Yeah,
He's so great.
he is fantastic and playing a kind of a funner, more villain than usual, and also not, even though
Wait, is he a cop or is he
he's
a criminal?
cop.
Okay.
But he's, it's not like Mr. Just Good Guy.
Sure.
Or Mr. like wronged good guy having to do wrong and having to do wrong. But he also, so he's great. You also get O'Shea Jackson Jr. as Cube's son, so good.
Mm-hmm.
You get another, I think an actual favorite of yours, Pablo Schreiber.
Oh, I do like him, yeah.
As our Irish leprechaun from American Gods.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
That and we're
Not going to talk about
Oh.
Orange is the New Black.
Why?
That's
Can't
it.
I?
Moving on. No, if you want, I guess.
he was horrendous. He was great and he was horrendous in Orange is the New Black, which I watched seasons 1, 2, 3, and then I was like, oh, I can't anymore. And then I just completely stopped, which is weird because I loved it in the beginning. But he's great, yeah.
Yes, I really like him. He brings he's one of the kind of the parts of this movie that make it a little bit more complicated than you end up thinking that it was. So I really like that. One of Gerard Butler's partners, Mo McRae, is really fun from one of my favorite one-season TV shows, Pitch.
Oh, yeah, you love Pitch.
I do love Pitch. Third rewatch coming up at some point.
Oh, my God.
I can't even believe I've only done it twice. It's crazy town. So there's quite a few other fun people in there, 50 Cent and, Apparently, I didn't realize Max Holloway, one of the thieves that doesn't get a lot of time, is also he's a serious UFC guy. So that was new to me. Oh, there's a big Walking Dead crossover as well. So yeah, it's very solid. It's a serious it's not like a fun crime movie, really. It's more of a serious, and then like kind of, again, in the way that it goes, it ends up not being, it continues to be serious as opposed to like, oh, now it's all happening and it's all, things are going to be, yeah, it's good that we really committed this cool crime. It's like, oh, wait, what? So I enjoy it. It's obviously worth a rewatch.
Obviously, times 5, apparently, or more.
Come on. Every 2 to 6 months. No big deal.
2 to 6 months.
You just got to check the bookshelf. See what's on the bookmark.
There's not too many movies for that to be a problem, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, there's not ever just so much new stuff. I don't know how you can even revisit old stuff.
Yeah, there's quite a few that I'm like, I've gotten to the like, theoretically it's once a year would be the right amount because there's too many that I want to rewatch as well as wanting to watch a bunch of new. So it's like,
Sure.
well, if I'm constantly watching old stuff like I could every day, then I would have no room. And it's like, and then I'm watching it once every month? No. So once a year would be the appropriate amount of rewatching.
But it's never completely off the list. If it's worth a rewatch, it's going to come back around.
Yeah, this one is an interesting one because it's not like, it's such a favorite. I'm thinking about it all year. But on the other hand, it's like, when it's that clock has wound its way all the way back to the start again and you see it on a streaming service, right now it's on Netflix and you're like, oh, right, yes. No, that is what I need to watch tonight.
I need some Den of Thieves. All right, very cool. Well, I guess that's good for this episode. So, John, you watched Den of Thieves for
No, that wasn't me. You've forgotten.
The 5th time?
I don't know if it's 5.
It could be the 6th. We don't know, people. We don't know. I finished Stranger Things, season 4, episode 7, and then we're going to get 8 and 9 coming up here pretty soon. And then I also finished Hacks season 2, which was very fun. And I think they just got greenlit for a season 3, was also in the news recently.
I think it was extremely recently.
Nice.
Love that. Exciting. And of course, also Barry. All right.
And I watched season 2 and season 3 of Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix.
Yes, I'm going to get on that because I did like seasons 1 and 2. So now I just have 3. I don't have to watch all of 2 and 3 back to back like you.
Man, one treadmill, you could knock out like 6.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Maybe that's tomorrow. Okay, thank you for listening. And please follow us on all of our social media at Podcast Watching. We also have a Patreon, and you can join us there. Become a patron. It's pretty easy to do, and we would appreciate it. And that's where we talk about stuff that maybe we didn't love so much or that we just watched so much we have to talk about other things. I mean, that's kind of my problem. All right. Thank you for listening to
What We Are Watching.